It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background. And I'm going to think, Tim, you got a nice portrait of Joe Biden just 2 months onto the job in 2021, and he's sleeping at a meeting. He's drooling. That's what we had for 4 years. As president, am I right? Is that what you got?
You're actually wrong.
Oh, all right.
It's I am at a presidential residence. I'm at Mar-a-Lago. I just got a delivery from ABC News.
Ah, there you go. There you go. That's what 15 million, 1 million in legal fees. $15 million looks like. That's fantastic. You know,
that's the fireplace. It's literally money to burn.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you. First of all, I think this is a watershed moment in American journalism. I mean, you know, we saw it in bits and pieces before, chunks of the mainstream media falling off, like MSNBC when Morning Joe went to Mar-a-Lago. They might be buried under some of that money right there. But but this settlement. And the reason it's so big is because it'd be one thing if Trump had a legitimate case against ABC, but I think the case is garbage, and he still made them give up. And I mean, and poor George Stephanopoulos, he just got a contract extension. I think it just was announced today, like $20 million a year for several years. So they're making George feel good because, you know, he had to take one for the team here. But I think, and I was seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh, Trump, they really had ABC by the short hairs on this." I don't really think so, and you know, you guys, you think that I kowtow or genuflect to the commentary podcast, John Podhoretz and everybody like that. They believe that this was a really legitimate case that Trump had. They've gotten really MAGA-like. My belief, and even like this guy Abe Greenwald said that Trump had him dead to rights. I don't think so, because I don't think the First Amendment teeters on technicalities like that. There are a lot of legal experts who would agree with me on that. I mean, the difference was between whether he put his penis in her vagina against her will, or his fingers in her vagina against her will. And I don't think there's that significant a difference. You may demur.
You know, one's third base, the other one's a home run. I mean, come on, you're a baseball fan, Bruce.
There we go.
It's the difference. It's the difference between being on the scoreboard and
all right,
keeping the fans on the edge of their seats.
Maybe we'll just be trapped in an eternal rundown between third and home on this. But it is interesting to me that you can actually defame Hitler. There's somehow that you could Hitler would have an action against you. You know, this reminds me a little bit. Years ago, did you ever watch Walter Jacobson on Channel 2 here? And he was a big time newscaster. I actually worked with him at Channel 32.
Not much. I'm familiar with him though.
Yeah, but anyway, he's like he actually lost a libel suit against the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Company. How do you lose a libel suit to a cigarette company? And it was one of the most surreal moments in local Chicago TV, because I'll never forget, I saw him on the 5 o'clock news. He was anchoring the news on Channel 2 at 5 o'clock, like in the early 80s. And he goes, "Today, the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Company won a libel suit against me." I mean, so he was announcing they couldn't get somebody else to do the story.
What did he say?
I forgot what he did. I think that he said that they marketed to minors or something like that, which I thought they did. But anyway, it was they won a libel suit. So anyway, this is akin to this, but I think this is like a watershed moment in American mainstream journalism, because they probably were concerned about what would come out in Discovery. You know what happened? Remember in the Fox case, where even pristine guys like Brett Baer looked a little bad by what came out on Tucker. Tucker may have been fired because of that. among his memos was he said, let's fire somebody for telling the truth. I think that was basically because it'll affect the stock price.
Well,
but
you got to
anyway,
remember too. You got to remember too what Stephanopoulos how he emerged on the scene.
Oh yeah,
he was in charge of discrediting Clinton's accusers. I mean, that was his.
Oh,
he was the department. He was the Department of Bimbo Eruptions, if I remember right.
Let the record show that George Stephanopoulos is a little scumbag, but even a scumbag is right. Like a little rodent squirrel out there.
No, but that's what I'm.
Gets a couple of acorns every once.
But that's
a
while. A hint. That's a hint which you might have found if you actually went into Discovery.
I think the Discovery would have been stuff like, "We're going to get this bastard."
Yep.
We hate him. But I mean, the defense would be, well, I said what was substantially true because I mean, there is a common, ordinary definition. It's the definition of rape is somewhat expansive, but we don't have to get into that. But no, you're right. I mean, they might have found out, that he had said all these horrible things about Trump, and apparently, I mean, we'll never know for sure. But I saw a story where a producer said that they had warned Stephanopoulos multiple times, don't use the word rape, and he still did. And actually, I mean, that might look like it's bad. It'll show that he had ill will towards Trump, but it might actually buttress his case as well, because it was like, no, that's what I believe he did, even though the jury technically didn't come down and say rape. Even if you really look at this, get into the granular element of this, the judge, after the trial was over, said tried to put it under the umbrella of rape. The federal definition of rape is more expansive than the New York law was at that time. Anyway, that's enough with that. I know you're not all that interested in.
Well, I don't even know if you can find what the New York law was at that time, because she had no idea when it happened.
Anyway, so what? By the
Heck, it might have been statutory rape for all we know. It might have happened while she was still a minor.
Well, that's getting back into something that it's actually irrelevant, which is the facts of the case, because it really, all that really matters is what the jury said its finding was.
Yeah, but, the jury said we want to bankrupt that guy so he can't run for president. That
may very well be.
That's pretty much what the jury said.
May very well be. A lot of people don't believe E. Jean Carroll just because she couldn't remember when it happened, and also it simulated something that she saw in Law and Order or whatever. It's something like that.
Gentlemen,
yes.
Can I just interject one thing, because it is so frustrating to watch Nancy Mason, that interview with Stephanopoulos, because she literally has the trump card where she can come back to him and say, you worked for credibly accused Bill Clinton, who had 7 rape lawsuits. You stayed working for him, and you were in charge, as Tim said, the bimbo eruptions. And she doesn't say any of that. And it's so frustrating to watch. She goes into, I'm a victim. She goes that card instead of just literally can quash the whole thing by saying that.
It would have been, what a riposte that would have been. Look who's calling somebody a rapist. I mean, as a matter of fact, on the commentary podcast, I got a Chris Matthews thrill up my leg, because this guy Matt Continenti actually invoked the name Juanita Broadrick. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I mean, nobody ever talks about what Juanita Broadrick. I mean, I still believe to this day that obviously something happened there. We've talked about that a little bit. That
is that Hillary believed something happened there.
Hillary believed it because Juanita said something about sterility or something.
Yeah,
like
he
that.
he said as he was leaving, he said, "You don't have to worry about getting pregnant because I had a fever when I was a little kid, and you better put some ice on that."
Exactly.
That was.
All right. Well, let's turn quickly here to. So RFK Jr. is, there's this big concern about the polio vaccine, that he's going to take it away. I'm thinking, and you put your tinfoil hat on this, that Elon Musk, who, everybody says is the de facto president right now, that he wants RFK on there and get rid of the polio vaccine, because he's developing a Tesla that also serves as an iron lung. And I'm just thinking,
well, you saw how fast GM converted to making respirators, ventilators.
Okay. All right. So
you saw how quick that changeover. So yeah, I think a Tesla to an iron lung would be pretty.
It'll be good. So hey,
pretty
polio is back, baby. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing too, and I'm not, I'm all in favor of vaccines. I think modern science is grand, but there is a question whether it was the vaccine that stopped the polio epidemic or the fact that people started cleaning the water, started chlorinating the water.
Fluoridating? Flora is it?
Chlorinating. No, the water's chlorinated and fluoridated.
Oh, okay.
But the chlorination of the water kills the polio virus. That's how polio was transmitted. It was it was like dysentery. It was a waterborne disease. So that
was RFK Jr., since he's against the fluoridation, is he against the chlorination as well?
I
mean, is he giving us any defense against polio? I mean,
who drinks water from the tap anymore, huh? Everybody
you can
drinks
have these filters put in or whatever.
Most people drink bottled water today.
Yeah. I think we've got one of those. Anyway, I'll devote like 20 full seconds because by the time this airs, it may be moot. And I really don't know the difference between a CR and CCR, which I believe is Creedence Clearwater Revival, but a clean CR. That the Republicans, if there's a shutdown, the Republicans are going to be blamed for it, right? Yeah. It always happens, no matter what.
Maybe.
Why wouldn't it? Why?
Because we're in a post-Trump world. It's what happened. Everything that happened before the election is a different era. Is now the media isn't allowed. They can't get away with the stuff.
Well,
that was the big loser in this last election. Nobody believes the media.
Show babies starving in Washington D.C.
No. People are gonna believe what they read on X, and they're gonna say that they're not going to blame Yeah.
All right, they'll be insulated in their iron lungs. In the Teslas.
Yeah.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, just wanted to. Did you see this? Speaking of Elon Musk and how much a genius he is, so Jay Leno, very this is not the Leno I was accustomed to. It was just kind of a sponge for middle of the road thinking.
Sure.
He said Musk switches to Trump, and now it's going to be cool for conservatives to get electric cars. It's kind of.
You don't think that's viable?
I do. I'm hoping that's not the thing that motivated Elon Musk to. I thought he was a man of principle.
Here's the thing: Trump voters love their trucks. There's pretty much a given, right?
Yeah.
The Cybertruck was kind of made fun of as the liberal truck because it was Elon Musk's. But now I see liberals making fun of it. So there's a really good chance that Cybertruck is going to be the new, for the new elite redneck vehicle.
Yeah, do you think
I've seen a lot of them in Indiana.
You know what we'll know that we'll know they've crossed that threshold is when you see a guy drinking a Bud Light in one of the Cybertrucks. I think.
Have you seen they did an online thing? Is that they had a Cybertruck race a Porsche, and it raced the Porsche while towing a Porsche.
Oh man!
and won.
That's in your face, baby. That's in your face. That's taunting. I mean, that's like 15 yards for taunting.
And
That's really good.
I could see Trump supporters enjoying that.
Yeah. Speaking of trying to be manly, remember last week you made me feel good because you thought that Luigi's, and by the way, do we remember who Luigi was? I mean, he's kind of
Sure.
faded over the last few days.
Sure.
We thought Luigi has these abs, these washboard abs, and you were saying they didn't look like hetero abs to you.
They
And
did. They do not.
That I was relieved when I heard that. But then I recalled that he was discovered when he unmasked himself because he was flirting with somebody. Was it at Starbucks or whatever? So,
you assume it was a female he was flirting with at Starbucks? When was the last time you were in Starbucks?
It was a barista, I believe. Okay. I did make that assumption.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Maybe I'm wrong. All right. There's hope again.
There are a lot of vegan boys that working as
all right.
the
Speaking
counter
of
at
manly
Starbucks.
men, let's talk a little bit about the longshoremen. You see that Trump, I mean, absolutely caved to these thugs, the longshoremen, and he says, "Oh, look, and he doesn't even believe in automation anymore." Oh, he said, "I know automation; it's not worth it, the harm that it's going to cause." And I'm thinking, what is the difference between embracing the longshoremen and embracing like the Chicago Teachers Union, which, by the way, the Secretary of Labor that he's nominated, I mean, it's so far down the list, but I think Randy Weingarten lauded that selection. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Trump's doing that we don't like, right?
Here's the difference. The teachers go on strike and the kids get an extended snow day. The longshoremen go on strike and the economy tanks. And and the Congress panics and starts refusing to go along with the Trump agenda.
Yeah.
So the longshoremen's union is pretty vital to the
Chris just put a notice on the screen that said the longshoremen actually work. Yeah, some of them do. Look, I saw The Wire, so I know all about the longshoremen here.
One in three work.
Yeah, that's right. Which is more than a typical Chicago construction crew.
Sure, the other one's by the way, pay. The other one's a no show.
Yeah, which is, by the way, is how Walter Jacobson made his name, because he'd do these perspectives, these 90-second pieces, and he would just show video of these construction crews not working all day, and then he'd try to call City Hall and they wouldn't answer me, and he'd have a bit. And I remember Walter saying at one point where he lost his thunder was when they started answering his phone calls and coming up with excuses, and then it just muted everything. Touche to the government on that. But all right. So much for Luigi's abs here. All right, how about a compromise here? Trump gets to eliminate daylight savings time, but keep the longshoremen on it so that they're just screwed up vis-a-vis the rest of the country. Yeah. What do you think about the daylight savings time?
Well, I think if Trump gets rid of daylight savings time, the Democrats are going to blame him for the failure of solar energy.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
They're going to say it was working fine till he got rid of daylight savings time, and now it's we just can't make it work.
Daylight savings times is one of those things that, I mean, all I do is try to remember spring forward, fall back. I still can't remember, what is that? Does that really mean more sunlight at this time, less sunlight at that? And it just won't compute in my head, and I don't want to bother solving that now that it's about to end. Do you think it's actually going to end? It looks like that, right?
I don't know. I don't. Oh, okay. I'm in Indiana, so.
Oh, okay.
We have a love-hate relationship with daylight savings time. Some of us go along with it. Some of us don't. Some of us are Eastern. Some of us are Central. So it's you never know if you're going somewhere in Indiana. Always call first and ask what time it is.
Oh my, it's too bad to have to have two variables to your time within one state.
Yeah.
With both the time zone and whether you adhere to daylight savings time?
Exactly. It's where I am. We get Chicago TV, so we're gonna do whatever Chicago does.
Oh, okay. All right, I get
But
it.
Indianapolis, no, they got their own football team, so they don't care what time we're on.
I see. I see. Anyway, I
I
just
think,
thought,
and I think people, I think we should be Eastern time, don't you, Bruce? Don't you like the summer better, the
well, I love the
longer?
baseball games ending at midnight. I mean, it'd be horrible for like a kid who actually the games were on so late. How could you stay up till midnight to see Aaron Judge drop a fly ball in center field? Yeah, I what I really hated, having grown up watching TV was the bias in favor of Eastern time. It's on everything
Yeah.
is Eastern time, which forget about it. What about us?
New
And
Yorkers are in such a hurry. They call out New Year's an hour early.
right, totally. There's a trivia question. The ball when it would drop in Times Square, who was the announcer? I mean, years ago. Little trivia. Do you remember?
Oh! Was it the Timex watch guy?
That would be John Cameron Swayze.
Yeah.
It wasn't, which would be a good
Okay.
idea. And that's an excellent idea. If we ever go back in time, pardon the pun, let's have John Cameron Swayze do that. I mean, he might have done it at some point, but I'm thinking of Ben Grauer was the guy. That was the name of the guy. Then, of course, in later years, Dick Clark would launch us into the new year. And now I have no idea.
Wouldn't they like shoot bullets at a Timex watch or something like that?
Oh, they would. The whole thing was takes a licking, keeps on ticking.
Yeah.
They'd submerge it. They'd throw it where the Titanic is. They'd have 80,000 divers go under. Couldn't rescue the Titanic, but they'd find the watch.
I think maybe I'm confusing it with the Bic pen. I'm pretty sure they shot a Bic pen out of a gun.
I don't remember. I mean, both of us. I'm from before Bic pens.
Wow.
Before the Bic pen, and I'm a lefty. When I write left-handed, but I throw righty. And we used to have these cartridge pens. And imagine you're learning cursive writing, which they don't.
Oh yeah.
Anymore.
I went to Catholic school. We still had those. They would not give us the ballpoint. They made us learn with a fountain pen.
That's radical.
Which is kind of stupid because you take those fountain pens and you shake them, you flick them, and it makes a real nice spray of ink all over the white Catholic uniform shirt in front of you.
I mean, it was like Dexter. That's how he learned how to do blood spatter analysis. Was just with the blood with that with the spatter. But no, you would be writing with your left hand and the ink would still be wet on the page and you just smear the ink as you went along with your hand from left to right.
I never thought of that.
The bias against the lefty.
Well, you should probably be writing in Hebrew and then you wouldn't have to deal with it.
There we go, right to left. There we go. I would have done it would have been so much better off. Okay, so what do we got here? We got a minute here. So what are you doing this holiday season? You're not in town.
I'm in Michigan actually. I'm not really in Mar-a-Lago. I'm up in Michigan. You might actually hear the goings on in the background. It's I just finished cooking dinner and
seriously. So they can't really challenge you on all your crazy tinfoil theories because their meals depend on it.
Compared to some of the people in my family, I'm the deep stater.
Give me an illustration of how somebody is more tinfoil than you are.
Well, last night the discussion was chemtrails. Apparently, there's a bill in Florida to ban chemtrails, so that is evidence that they're real, and they're spraying us with chemicals to cause cancer so the pharmaceutical companies can make money. That was last night's discussion.
Are the drones spreading that over New Jersey right now? Have we ever found out what happened there? We didn't really find out. We'll find out in the next segment. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Empowerment. Sick. I like it too. I think what I like about it is that I am having a very strongly negative reaction to it. Like I hate it. Which makes me think it must be brilliant.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
Holy cow. Not only doesn't she know what a woman is, she doesn't know what acting is either.
Right. Well, she said, I saw this tweet from Libs of TikTok that this was like a lifelong dream of hers. The first Black female Supreme Court justice to act in a Broadway play. I think she's still hoping to be the first Black female Supreme Court justice to write a coherent opinion. Anyway, yeah.
Wow. Maybe maybe we could pay off a Broadway producer, give her a contract and get her out of the Supreme Court. But,
yeah.
But not until after January 21st, please.
Right. So, how about this? The two big things have happened recently. One, the Duke lacrosse accuser admitted that she lied, and Sammy Sosa just finally apologized for using steroids 20 years ago. They say these things happen in threes. I'm thinking by 2050, because it's like 20-year gaps on these. Trump admits that he didn't win the 2020 election. That's so.
Or maybe it'll go the other way.
Which is that he won it. He actually won it.
Maybe.
And he served 3 terms.
Maybe Bill Barr will come out and said, I didn't want to investigate any of those.
By the way, Chris says that Sammy did not admit to using steroids. Actually, I mean, technically, the apology doesn't even say steroids. You're right about that. He didn't say that. He's just said he made mistakes when he was injured. He somehow came back. I guess a reasonable inference is steroids, and the Cubs are accepting it. Yeah, you'd think that after 20 years he would just at least say the word steroids. It's
so would that give him an asterisk though? I mean, we kind of all knew, but he never.
Well, he's not.
He never copped to it. He never was found guilty, right?
Remember, well, he says he didn't break any laws. It's just the rules of baseball. A lot of people look like they're embracing him. They can't wait to see him back at Wrigley Field. I want to know how do I get my summer of 1998 back? I mean, I watched him and Mark McGuire. I can't believe these guys. And of course, duh. So and then
I can't remember the summer of 98 either, Bruce, but I think it's probably for a different reason.
So then, of course, the big question is, will he go into the Cubs Hall of Fame as a black man or a white man? Because I don't know if you've seen Sammy in recent years. I mean, he's kind of like gone for a pigment change right there.
Is he kind of Michael Jackson-ing on us?
Yeah, pretty much so. Anyway, so the Duke lacrosse accuser finally admitted that she made the whole thing up. And I remember that at the time, Jesse Jackson was so taken by her story that he actually wanted to fund her education. I think even the fact that she lied underscored how much she needed to have her education funded. So it's like she could do no wrong.
Well, you know what, Bruce, in his defense, it's probably not the first stripper he put through college.
All right, there you go. I'm trying to remember
I should watch it. I should watch that. I could probably get sued for $15 million for saying that now.
Right. It's just everybody knew that she lied, right? I mean,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there was absolutely no evidence. But I mean, but by then those kids, their lives were ruined.
Were they? I mean,
was that the one? Was that the one? Did Rolling Stone actually take her side?
Rolling Stone took. I'm not sure about.
Or was that a
story.
different case?
They took her story. Somebody's side on Virginia. Rapes at Virginia. It's hard to keep your fake stories. Let's have a test on this. Tawana Brawley, we know who she is, right? Somebody that Al Sharpton never had to apologize.
And actually, 20 years from now, Jussie Smollett might actually admit, okay, I made it all up.
That's my, That's a
I know.
certain spot with me. You
I
know that
know.
I believe
I know you're all
he was
you're
set up.
100% Jussie.
He was set up.
You are Team Jussie.
Yeah, right. Everybody's entitled to one conspiracy theory. So did you see where this woman, Lily Phillips, I think her name is, that she had sex with 101 men in a day and on camera? And I'm thinking, the music to that should have been like 100 bottles of beer on the wall. It's not, I just,
I would not have liked to have been the 101st.
Yeah, that would
Just,
be,
because it's kind of like when you get your hair cut and you're the last client of the day and it's been busy because it's before Christmas and they're just
sure, they're rushing and they may
they're
clip
tired.
you a
They're
little
rushing.
bit.
Yeah.
They don't give you the service that you normally expect. Cujo's, as Michael Jordan would say, to Iowa Hawk. Have you ever read him on Twitter? Because I think he at the time said, "Oh, so what? Luigi is going to break that record like in the first 24 hours." That's pretty good.
So Iowa Hawk is on my side on the on those abs, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, it certainly will be now if he wasn't before. Speaking of very attractive women.
Yeah,
so,
but you see, the thing is, he's going to be on top.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Right. Number one.
Not that I understand all that.
No, just number one. Number one. He's going to be number one of the cell block.
Yeah. So did you see that the Hawk Tua girl? Did she swindle somebody, all her fans or something in a
I believe
Bitcoin thing?
No, I believe what happened was because she didn't look like a blockchain expert. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what probably happened was somebody approached her, somebody who was already working on a blockchain scandal, and just needed an influencer to sell it.
Okay.
And so actually it became the Hawk Tua coin. So that, that was just a simple substitution and it turned out to be a swindle. I'm sure she had nothing to do with it. She thought it'd be a good deal. So, but she's going to get blamed for it, just like Trump University.
Would she wind up going to jail for something like that?
No, but she's liable.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Got those legal terms of art correct. All right. So I actually read this. This guy, Andrew Lockenoff on Twitter, was giving, because there was apparently a $760 million lottery the other day. Did anybody win it? I wasn't paying attention, but 760 million. And he was giving this, there was this tweet thread on what you should do if you win the lottery. And I actually read through the whole thing, even though I had not bought a ticket. Of course, then again, my odds of winning are the same if I buy a ticket or not buy a ticket. Is my understanding. But,
that's what I've always felt. I've always felt like buying a ticket only increases your odds marginally, not enough to even matter.
So, but it was. I mean, people who win the lottery, have to be absolutely paranoid.
Sure.
They have to go into secrecy. They have to hire security. It reminds me now of like any CEO of an insurance company now has to get all the security. Aren't you glad that we're just like the 3 millionth podcast in the United States? I mean, don't have to worry about any of those things that they have to worry about.
It's nice not to be famous, huh? Illinois, I understand. Now, I could be wrong with this. I understand that Illinois is that in order to collect the winnings, you have to allow the Illinois Lotto to put your name out there.
Right. The whole point is to get publicity for it. So
Illinois. That you can't because it says one of the things to do there, I'm kind of glancing at it, is to be anonymous. Well, you can't in Illinois.
No.
You win the Illinois Lotto, you will find you have a lot more friends than you thought you did.
Absolutely. But take the lump sum and put it in index funds. All right. That's my little curbstone advice. And also, so there was a trailer for the new Superman that is coming out. I think I'm a little bit behind on Superman's. I know I remember George Reeves and Christopher Reeve, but after that, I don't know if there was anything. But there was a trailer for it, and I was just wondering. In this one, I saw a part of the trailer that they've got people with cell phones shooting this guy, coming strange visitor from another planet with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. But I was wondering if he has to bring his own food. Fantastic.
It's amazing. She holds up a dress bag, and then all of a sudden the dress and the bag disappears, and then she's wearing it. It's Solange is the name. If you haven't Google it, it's just amazing to watch.
Another show that I have not.
Yeah, but it's all over the internets, Bruce.
All right,
you can't,
I'll watch it.
I guess they don't have it on Twitter.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And for you viewers at home, we've got Solange is her name. She's the one who makes the quick changes.
Yep.
I would love to do radio play-by-play on this.
See, she's got a doll that looks like her.
That looks like her.
And all of a sudden, her in a different outfit. Look at that.
I missed that. Well, they did a cutaway.
Okay, she got one right there in the box, a dress in the box. Oops, she's wearing it, and the dress is gone.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that.
That's great. Can she saw herself in half while she's putting those outfits on? I'm just wondering.
There's the confetti.
Oh, the confetti goes, and then she's in another outfit. I mean, does she sing? Does she have an act? I mean, she's got. I get the gimmick. I mean, I saw Gypsy. You got to have a gimmick. But
that's what I'm saying is Superman needs no phone booth. That's kind of my that was kind of the point I was trying to make.
No, totally understand. All right, this is like our little sports section. I got to confess, I didn't make the playoffs in my fantasy league this year, and yet last week I was still looking to see how my players were doing. I mean, I have to ratchet up my gambling problem. This is like a fantasy gambling problem. I'm not really gambling. I'm just looking at these players that I had on a fantasy team. It's so meta. It's a fantasy about a fantasy. So,
do you have any Bears on your fantasy team?
I had, nothing people love to talk about more than their fantasy teams, and nothing people like to hear about less than somebody else's fantasy team. I mean, but I had. Well,
I'm sure your fantasy team probably did better than the Bears.
Well, I had a Bear in there, Caleb Williams. All right, I'm going to tell you this, and I didn't start him because I didn't think he was good, and he wasn't. But I had Jordan Love of the Packers as well, and there were 3 weeks there where Caleb started out awful, but then they had all these garbage touchdowns in the end of the game when it didn't matter, and he wound up scoring more points than Jordan Love. And because of that, I missed the playoffs. How much is that justice? I'll tell you. So speaking of Caleb Williams, and online, there's this woman, and I got to tell you, X or Twitter, it's like every fourth or fifth tweet is from some buxom woman now. The rest of them are anti-Semitic, either left or right. I mean, it's just it's getting a little to be like a cesspool. Twitter. Plus, you got me on there all the time. But there's this woman named Taylor Mathis, and she was at a whiteboard, writing a chart about odds for the game. And I think we may have this. And she's at the whiteboard, and she reminded me so much of former Channel 7 reporter and analyst Brad Palmer, who would stand at a whiteboard. I mean, doesn't that, Chris, remind you of Brad Palmer? A bald guy who would stand there in front of a whiteboard and talk about.
I still don't think Chris is showing the video for those on the radio, and I don't think I've noticed the whiteboard yet.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. Well, because she's wearing a white top, so that kind of blends in. She's kind of keyed out that way. But anyway, she's kind of a buxom lass. And if Brad Palmer was the professor, she could have been the TA or the TNA, pal. But anyway, she also tweeted that she wonders when Bear fans will realize that Caleb Williams isn't all that good. And all I could think of when she tweeted that was that Caleb wanted to jump in her lap and cry like he did when he saw comfort from his mother. Because she's an interesting person, this Taylor Mathis. Never heard of her before. I just saw her on Twitter. She's one of the buxom lasses who talk about football right now.
Sit on her lap and bury his face.
Speaking of female athletes, so you saw that Caitlin Clark was on the cover of Time magazine for the Athlete of the Year. And the owner of this WNBA team called the Mystics, I don't even know what city they're from, was very upset. She thought that there should have been a whole, let's see. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover? Said Sheila Johnson, the owner of the Mystics. And that reminded me so much of when Richard Pryor.
Because it's a magazine, not a tabloid. That's why.
Okay.
You don't have the dimensions are limited.
Oh, okay. That's the reason. But it reminded me, and I think I mentioned this before, when Richard Pryor had his variety show and he had the Pips on without Gladys Knight singing Back Up to the Midnight Train to Georgia. I mean, Caitlin Clark has made this league, and they hate her for it. They absolutely hate her for it. There was a Babylon Bee piece. I think I sent it to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
How, she was talking about her white privilege. And, so her white privilege is, getting an elbow to the face from a very gargantuan black lesbian, I think. So, but if I may get literate
to quote it correctly, she said that white privilege feels a lot like getting beat up by giant black lesbians.
Exactly.
It just there is nothing. The onion is not funny anymore.
No, you're right.
It is the bee. I mean, that would have been like a classic Onion line.
Yeah. But maybe it's just she's paying reparations for her white privilege, one elbow to her breast at a time. But anyway, it reminds me very much, if I may get very literary here, of Flannery O'Connor's The Displaced Person. You know that story? Do you know that story, Tim?
I'm not sure.
The Displaced Person is about this guy, I think a Polish extraction. DPs, or displaced persons, were people who had to flee Europe after World War II.
Okay.
And this guy comes to the South, and he's just a jack of all trades. He can do the crops and everything, work the machinery, and he resurrects this farm that's owned by some white trash in the South. And the woman who's sitting there, loves the way he's working and was thinking of firing some people, and she's telling her neighbor about this. But then they realize that this guy's upset the homeostasis. They couldn't deal with the success. They'd rather be the poor white trash. And so they actually rig it. So, spoiler alert, so that the machine winds up altering whatever, and he gets killed on the farm. And that's what's happened, like with Caitlin Clark. I mean, they cannot stand that success. She has all boats have risen, and they can't stand it because
you have to put those quotation marks around success, those ironic quotation marks, because they still lost 30 million last year.
But the players, I didn't realize that. But usually they lose 60 million, right?
So, yeah, exactly. And she got chartered jets. They used to have to fly commercial. She said, so she does that, and they still elbow her in the face.
Actually, the wingspan on some of the players, Brittany Griner, I think about, bigger than some of the prop jobs that they were flying before. So. So it's a little more comfort for them. I got to tell you, my personal ratio of time spent reading about Caitlin Clark, the controversy, to actually watching her play, about 200 to 1. I think I've seen her play. I mean, have you watched her play basketball? No.
I didn't even watch the Bulls play. That's how.
Yeah, well, forget about it. Caitlin Clark is infinitely more interesting.
No, but I mean, even when the Bulls were the Bulls,
when the Bulls were good,
I wasn't watching. Yeah, that's
all right.
That's how much interest I have in basketball. Period.
All right. Well, maybe I know you don't have much interest in the Chicago White Sox. Chris does. They changed the name of their ballpark. It was Guaranteed Rate Field. Now it's Rate Field, which of course all it is going to invite things like Cut Rate Field or Low Rate Field because they're pretty cheap. And so that's the news that they made. Sammy Sosa coming back into the fold with the Cubs. The White Sox have a modest name change. Did you see there was this picture? Paul Graham put it up. I found it funny. And I like when we go back in history and show historical photos. It's General Sherman at age 45. And I think the caption on this would be Sherman to Atlanta. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. And it's amazing how, boy, those people, 45, you lasted 45 years on this planet in the 19th century. It took its toll, didn't it? Because
that picture, he looks kind of like Clint Eastwood now.
Right, exactly. I just saw Clint Eastwood the other day. Right. I mean,
that expression is probably the same expression he had when he heard Biden won back in 2020.
There we go. What is this? So Carol Roth, a friend of mine, done a little bit of radio with her. She had this tweet about there's 68. What was it here? $68 million in change, I think. She says Americans throw away an estimated $68 million worth of change each year. And my answer to that is bring back the toll booths. I mean, because that's well, yeah. I mean, toll booths used to be fun because I would just grab a bunch of change and throw it into the basket, and it would show the tabulation
until the gate came up.
Well, you'd see the tabulation, and you'd see how close did you come to the exact amount that you needed. It's kind of like Vegas, only you're and it was kind of fun.
Yeah, kind of felt more like skee ball at Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yeah, it was good. And of course, now, thanks to Rod Blagojevich, we got, the iPass.
I think they still had the change baskets up until the pandemic, though, right?
Oh, maybe. I'm one of the elite that had the iPass and didn't do that anymore. All right. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Same to you, Bruce.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.